Hello guys, in this lecture we will learn about classifications of defects in software quality engineering. What will you learn today? Classification of defects, origins of defects, requirements defects, design defects, coding defects, documentation defects, fixed defects, data defects, test case defects, regression testing. Categories of software defects. Number one is something was left out by accident is called error of omission. Something is done that is wrong. It's called error of commission. Next is two people reach different interpretations of what is meant. It's called error of clarity and ambiguity. Next is the application works but not fast enough. It's called error of speed or capacity. Software defects or regions. Number one is errors in requirements. Number two is error in design. Number three is error in source code. Number four is errors in documentation. Number 5 is errors due to bad fixes. Number 6 is errors in data and tables. Number 7 is errors in test cases. Requirements defects. All four categories of defects are found in requirements. The two most common problems are error of omission and error of clarity and ambiguity is requirement defects. If requirements errors are not prevented or removed, they flow downstream into design code and user manuals. Next is errors which originate in requirements tend to be the most expensive and troublesome to eliminate later. For reducing requirements defects, prevention is usually more effective than defect removal. Can requirements for large systems can ever be complete given the observed rate of creeping requirements during the development cycle? Since requirements grow at the rates between 1% and 3% per month. During development, the initial requirements often describe less than 50% of features that end up in the final version when it is delivered. Once deployed, applications continue to change at rates that approximately 5% to 8%. New features every year and perhaps 10% modification to existing features. Next is design defects. Design ranks next to requirements as a source of very troublesome and very expensive errors. All four categories of defects are found in software design and specification as might be expected. No availability of software architect or designer. The most common forms of design defects are error of omission, where some things are left out, and of commission, where something is stated that later turns out to be wrong. Next is error of clarity and ambiguity are also common, and many performance related problems originate in the design process as well. Next is coding defects. All four categories of defects can be found in source code, with errors of commission being dominant while code is under development. Perhaps the most surprising aspects of coding defects when they are studied carefully is that more than 50% of the serious bugs or errors found in the source code did not really originate in the source code. A majority of so-called programming errors are really due to the programmer not understanding the design or the design not correctly interpreting a requirement. This is not a surprising situation. Software is one of the most difficult products to visualize prior to having to build it. Built-in syntax checkers and editors associated with modern programming languages can find many true programming errors such as missed parentheses or looping problems. Even poor structure and excessive branching can now be measured and corrected automatically. The kind of errors that are not easily found are deeper problems in algorithms or those associated with misinterpretation of design. Next is documentation defects. User documentation in the form of both manuals and online information can contain errors of omission and error of commission. The most common kind of problem is that of error of clarity and ambiguity. The next is fixed defects. The phrase bad fixes refers to attempts to repair an error with although the original error may be fixed or introduce a new secondary bug into application. Bad fixes are usually errors of commission and they are found in every major deliverable, although most troublesome for requirements, design, and source code. Bad fixes are very common and can be both annoying and serious. From about 5% to the more than 20% of attempts to repair bugs may create a new secondary bug. For code repairs, bad fixes correlate strongly with the high complexity level as might be expected. Next is data defects. Data errors can be very serious and they also interact with software errors to create many expensive and troublesome problems. Many of the most frustrating problems that human beings note with computerized application can be traced back to data problems. Error in utility bills, financial statements, tax error, motor vehicle registration, and a host of others are often data errors. Next is test case defects. About 12% of regression test cases contain errors of some kind. Coverage of the regression test library range between about 40% and 70% of code. Next is regression testing. What is regression testing? For software, regression means slipping backward and usually refers to an error made while attempting to add new features or fix bugs in an existing application. A regression test means a set of test cases that are run after changes are made to an application. The test cases are intended to ensure that very superior features of the application still works and that the new materials have not caused error in existing portions of the application.